For all the best tips and strategies, check out the Ultimate Utility app. Links are available in the description. When it comes to challenges, I actively try and find the hardest ones in each game so I can help the community out. And believe it or not, most of the challenges in World War II are relatively easy. There's one, however, that's extremely difficult. It's found under the Precision category, and it's called Situational Awareness. Kill 5 enemies by triggering a Destructible to explode. Now this challenge is deceiving right from the start. Despite it saying you only need 5 enemies, it's a tiered challenge. So by the time you get to the 3rd tier, it's up to 30 enemies. So in actuality, you need to kill 30 people from destructible items. Now first of all, let's briefly talk about situational awareness. This is the perception of environmental elements and events with respect to time or space. I've got a perfect example of this from another Sledgehammer game, Advanced Warfare. Watch here as I boost onto this platform and suddenly find myself face to face with 2 enemies squaring off. Now I've got the jump on both of these guys, but what's the correct play here? Do I stand by idle and let one kill the other and then engage the survivor? Do I just start shooting at one and hope it's the one that doesn't die by the other enemy? Both of those answers are wrong. The correct play here is to be situationally aware and spot the destructible barrel in between the two. So as they engage each other, I instantly blow up the barrel and get the double kill. That's situational awareness in a nutshell. So what makes this so difficult in World War II? It sounds easy enough, but there's 2 issues. The first and major issue surrounding this challenge is the lack of destructible items in the game. I took the time and went through each and every map in the game, including all the war maps, to see just how many of these destructible items I could find. And there's 5. That's it. 5 explodable items in the entire game. To make matters worse, 4 of these are actually on one single map, and then there's 1 on another map. Now the second issue is that you have to know which tactic to utilize in order to actually succeed in registering a notch for this challenge. Luckily, I'll be covering both of these issues. So let's start with the location of all 5 destructible items. The only explodable items in this game are cars. I tried everything else that you could think of, including blowing people up using bombs in the war mode, or triggering a series of explosives to get a kill, but nothing worked. Only cars seemed to count.
It's Crazy Donnie D with Black Ops 3, and we are slashing prices on our entire inventory of supply drops. I'm talking rare drops. I'm talking elite drops. Come, the whole 9. 25% off. 15% off. No way. 50% off. It's Christmas in July, bitches.
No, it's June.
Christmas in June. Just don't tell Vaughn.
So as I said earlier, there's 4 cars on a certain map, and that map is Sainte Marie du Mont. Despite there being cars on a lot of maps, most of them aren't explodable. What you're looking for on this map are the yellow-greenish colored cars. Only these are able to be destroyed. Now the first one is found at the end of one of the major engagement sites on this map. I'll be covering the tactics with each car in just a bit, but this is the one that tends to get destroyed right away. The next one is found at the opposite end of the map, which in Domination is right in front of the C flag. This is by far my favorite one to use. Now the last 2 cars are nearby this one and are right next to each other. The first one is tucked away on the left of this entryway into the House of Campers. You can stand back a bit and easily pick off people anxious to camp their dicks off in there. Now the last one is by far the hardest to utilize, but it's viable nonetheless. It's located just to the right of the last one, and it's tucked away in a garage sort of structure. Only the hood of the car protrudes out, which makes it more difficult to use. Now the 5th and final car is found on the map London Docks. This car is a dark blue color and is found on the C side of the map. This is a popular spawn point, making it very easy to score a kill here. So that's it. 5 cars in the entire game spread over 2 maps. Now there's a few ways to blow up a car, but only 2 methods are ideal for this challenge. The first is with the Satchel Charge, and the second is with a launcher. I'll explain the pros and cons of both of these. So first, the Satchel Charge. Obviously, one major drawback is that this is unlocked extremely late, so not everyone will have it. The other drawback is that the Satchel Charge explosion will sometimes kill the enemy, despite the car also exploding. Let me show you some examples of the Satchel Charge working and then failing. So the tactics with this one are simple. Go to one of the 5 cars, plant the charge right on the car itself or anywhere right near it, and then wait. When an enemy approaches, detonate the charge and the car will explode, hopefully killing your enemy in the process. If you successfully get a car kill, this is what will show up in the kill feed. It appears to be a flame icon. Now, as I said earlier, this doesn't always work for some reason. Watch here as I place a satchel charge on the side of the car that's facing me. I then lay back and maintain a line of sight on the car and wait for an enemy. When one comes, I detonate and the car explodes. But the kill feed gives me a satchel charge explosion kill instead of the car one. Now, since he did run on the same side I threw that charge, I chalked it up as that. Now in this clip, I put the charge on the back tire area. I then go up in the window overlooking the area and I wait for an enemy to approach. One happens to run by towards the front of the car, but again, the satchel charge gets the kill and not the car, despite the enemy being quite a ways away from where I placed the charge. So this time, I placed a satchel charge way behind the truck that's halfway exposed, and then I patiently awaited an unsuspecting foe. Again, the death of my enemy was by the charge and not the car explosion. So while it is pretty handy to be able to plant the explosive and then hide and wait for an enemy, the chance of the charge getting the kill is relatively high. And due to the lack of cars to begin with, you can't waste your precious time with such fails. The better option for this challenge is either of the launchers in this game. The drawback to this is that you obviously have to run a basic training skill to even use a launcher. But with that said, the launcher is 100% effective on these cars. You'll always register a notch if you launcher an explodable car and get a kill. The car blast radius is pretty generous for this as well. An enemy can be a good 5 meters or so away and still die as a result of it. Now, patience is definitely a key here. Your best bet is to pick just one car to work with at a time and just lurk nearby. The instant you see someone approach, fire away. I should note that you absolutely need to disregard your KD ratio for this challenge. Camping a car is of utmost importance here. I've sat in the same spot for nearly the entire match before, just to wait for an enemy to run by the car I was focusing on. In one match, I think I started 0 and 9 before I finally got the kill. Now as for game mode, I found free-for-all to be ideal for this. In teammate-based games, I found that far too many of the cars would be blown up by your teammates to be worthwhile. With free-for-all though, not only will teammates not gank your kills, but most people safely ignore the cars altogether. The spawns are also more predictable, and thus easy to exploit when it comes to getting these car kills. The London Docks map in particular has a spawn point that's right next to the only car on the map. If you start here on free-for-all, you can instantly have the chance to outsmart your opponent with a launcher car kill. Now I will admit that round-based game modes can be beneficial for this as well. For example, Domination. In such round-based games, the cars will respawn after each round. So with that in mind, each match in Domination on St. Marie du Mont can potentially give you 8 car kills. Of course, it's highly unlikely that you even succeed with one such kill, but at least the opportunity is there. Now you can also manipulate the flags in Domination. For example, the car that's right in front of the C flag. If you step on the flag to alert the enemies of your presence, you can then go right near the car and await for an enemy to come trudging in. Just don't be like me and blow your load too early, or you'll end up with a hit marker rather than a kill. Wait for the enemy to be directly next to the car before launching. And that, as they say, is that. This challenge wouldn't be too hard if there were more explodables that counted for it. But as of now, there's only 5 cars in the entire game that'll work. And worse yet, 4 of them are on a single map. Your best bet is to utilize a launcher and patiently await for an enemy to step within that generous blast radius of one of the 5 exploding cars. It's even more tedious due to the fact that you have to do this a whopping 30 times. I think doing this 5 times alone is enough for the challenge, but 30 is just overboard. Now just as a reference as to how long this may or may not take you, I was able to get 15 notches for this challenge in 15 hours of playtime. It's not so much fun seeing St. Marie du Mont come up on the map rotation, only to see someone vote for something else. I guess you could always join games and leave right away until you get thrown into that particular map, but that also takes quite a bit of time. Now London Docks gets voted way more often, but there's only 1 car on that map, so it's still a very slow process. If you're willing to risk the challenge not registering every so often, you could also use the Satchel Charge. This at least allows you to observe the cars from a far greater distance since you can detonate the charge at any range. Based on my testing though, if the enemy is on the same side as the Satchel Charge, you'll get a satchel kill instead of a car kill. So regardless of the method you choose, you at least now know all 5 of the car locations. With a little patience and persistence, you should be able to knock these 30 kills out in no time.